Okay, I pardon the interruption there. When my battery decided to die, actually it wasn't my battery. What it was is the memory system on the camera was filling up. Because this video is getting so doggone long. Now the next thing we gotta do here is I gotta move some of this out of the way. There's one last thing I gotta do before we take it to the cleaners. Or cleaner, actually. But we have to remove this spring off of here, which sometimes can be fun. I actually need to take the clamps off the springs. However, to do that, we can't just remove the clamp, or else we could hurt ourselves or the clock parts. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, and I'm going to move you on over to the mainspring winder. So we're going to figure out how to do that. Alright. Okay, so now we're at the mainspring winder. I had to move my camera to the other side here to give you a little bit of a better view here. Okay, so now remember what size we used? I believe it was a number 6. So we're going to put that in there. And now what I need to do is I actually need to tighten the spring up on here. Now down here there's a little post. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the spring onto there, like that. Okay. And then I'm going to loosen this little guy back here. I'm going to slide that into there and get that to start going into the key. Okay, get that kind of in place there. Tighten that down. Okie dokie. Alright, we're in the green, so now what we can do is start winding it. Looks like we're going the right direction here. So that's good. So now we're going to hear a bunch of clicking until I get the clamp loosened like it is now. See, now I can take the clamp off safely. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move this over to the other direction, and we're going to loosen it until the spring comes all the way open. Okay, much like that. Okay, so now it's safe to remove the whole thing. Kind of get a good grab on there. We can let this off of the post. Okay. And there we have it. Now getting the spring to actually come loose off of this requires a little more finesse. Okay, well before I do that, let me go ahead and do the other one, just so you can see again how it's done. Okay, same thing. Okay, get that started in there. Get that seated in the back. Oop. Let's turn the thingy the right way here. Tighten that down. I want it a little loose so it can still turn. And we're already going the right direction here, so we're going to go ahead and give that a crank or few. Okay, so that's loose. Set that out of the way. Turn this to the other side and then let her loose. And you don't want to just let go of the handle. Yeah, you can unwind it a little bit more there. And there we have that. Okay. Okay, now that we got the springs off, mind you, you are going to get dirty doing that. Just telling you. So anyway, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera, and we're going to move the camera back over to the other side. Get that out of the way. So we got our springs here. I'm just going to pan this out a little bit here. Now, on the inside this part here, there's a little catch inside of there. And you can actually kind of very carefully pry this up a little bit here. See if this will actually work. Sometimes it doesn't. If you have a hold of the spring, you can actually turn this the opposite way and pull right out, just like that. Okay. Okay, so that spring, this is the strike side. I like to keep them in order. Just set that over there. We'll do the same thing to this one. Let's try that trick again without doing anything. And we'll see if we can get this to go. Let's see here. Now I gotta turn it the opposite way. The hardest part is holding on to the middle part of the spring. Okay, yeah, that's not gonna work. At least not right now. I'm getting really, really dirty. So I need to stretch this out. Yeah, come on. Get the other screwdriver. There we go. Alright, now this one here was the time side. And I need to wipe my fingers off. Got a lot of oil in there. Grease. Okay. Well, that's better. But anyway, as far as springs go, you can buy new springs. Matter of fact, I could get new ones for this one, but I'm not really gonna go that far because it was working before, and the way I figure it is if it was working before, it'll continue to work. I mean, in theory. But what I'm doing now is I'm running a rag through the spring here, just kind of putting it in through there and then turning it, getting it down toward the center, because the spring is in a spiral, so it'll eventually end up in the center-ish. But I don't usually go all the way to the center, and then I get to a certain point, and then I stop, and then I take it out. That's just to get rid of most of the grime, the dirt. Here's the other one here. And just kind of repeat that same procedure here. Actually, this one's not as bad. But you can do that just to get rid of some of it. And I've lost track of which is which now, but it doesn't really matter. I do believe this was the strike side. I can always just watch the video later and find out. But anyway, so now what we're going to do is, since we have everything taken apart, everything is laid out, okay? Now it's time to actually clean these.